G'day. It's the end of another bloody gorgeous day here in Paradise, Christchurch, New Zealand. And 40 years ago, I was a kid who had just seen my first live steam traction engine. I was entranced with the smell and the sound and the power of this machine that just used fire and water. It's created a lifelong love of steam engines in general, vintage engines, model engineering. 30 years ago, on the other side of the world, another kid was also entranced by the magical experience of seeing a live steam traction engine. And that kid was Jin, who went on to become a model engineer who's brought that love and that hobby probably to more people than anybody else. People who don't have the engineering skills and the expensive workshop, but do have the itch to get in and try it. He's been going since about 2010, give or take, and moved from Stirling engines, steam engines, to internal combustion engines, and just recently started supplying these engines in painted form. And I really want to celebrate that, because these are a fantastic platform for the would-be model engineer like me. We get a model that's tested and running if we want it that way, but if we want to just do the few little tweaks and personalizations I think I can do and push myself to try, then I can have a model that I've only ever dreamed of having, and it's, you know, very truly mine because I've made it that way. Today we're going to focus on unpacking these beautiful painted models and looking at how simple they are to set up the way I want it, and you can stick with me and see the results. This is like Jin's flagship model, and it's bloody good engine and beautiful engine. There's a few things you might want to do to get it working the way that you want. One of the things I want to do, because this engine runs in this direction here, is I'm going to switch this over with a loop. I want that to run this way and therefore pump more efficiently. So we put a twist in here to change the direction of the water pump. On my other engine, I took a little piece out of the bottom of this cowling here so that this doesn't rub. But I might just try pushing that flywheel towards the engine. If we can push this backwards a couple of millimeters, we can avoid this here and we can straighten this up slightly. And I think that fits. Yep, that's cracked it open. Now, can I? Oh, yes, I can push that back. I can push that back. Okay, that looks perfect. Let's do that up. Yep, that's perfect. So that's a lot easier than taking the cowling off. This cowling needs to be probably 0.5 millimeter further over to the right. Instead of trying to move that, which doesn't look as though it's easily movable, I'm going to use the adjustment in here to tilt the fan blades where I need them. So there's not much adjustment in there, but that's what we're going to use. And if there's not much adjustment in there, we're going to make more by opening up those holes a little. Okay, you can see what I'm doing here. I want to drill out those a little bit, but not damage behind them. Okay, that's what you don't want to do. We've got our fan working perfectly in the cowl. That's always something to check with these. In shipping, they can just, you know, misalign. Right, we've got this turned around. The next exercise we'll be filling it with water, a mixture of water and antifreeze, anti-corrosion really, and seeing whether there are any little weepy leaks that we need to fill with a drop of super glue or something. Beautiful paint job, but how bloody gorgeous is this? I'm going to use pre-mixed ethylene glycol, which is the right one to use for a brass engine. Now, generally speaking, I would squirt this through the top until the top, so that it goes through the bottom, so that it eventually comes back out the top. So first we're going to fill it as much as we can, and then we're going to blow it through. This can get messy, as you can imagine. Disconnect the top one. I'm going to try a little bit of blue tack, poster tack to seal this. Might regret this, I usually do.
Doesn't it make cats explode?
Yeah, exactly. That's what it says on the bottle. Will make your cat explode. That's right.
Well, does it make people explode?
Yeah, it does. Hang on a second. I'll run a bit more through.
Does it vaporize?
Vaporized? You're always worried about your cancer. If I can't give you cancer by the time I've finished, I don't believe I've been a good father.
Is it like don't drink it, or is it like don't be near it?
I mean, you say it like it's a problem, but it's really not.
It might make my dearest cats do it.
Your cats are not going to explode. Oh, blimey.
They do.
What if they do? I promise you, no explodey pussycats. Yeah, so I stuck my thumb over this here, squirted that in there. For our next trick, we're going to pour antifreeze all over the table. Oh, yep, that's achieved. Great, well done, Thomas. Just when I told my son his cats would not explode, I'm laying the groundwork for multiple exploding antifreeze flavoured pussycats. So you do need to be... Look, seriously, apparently cats and children will lick it because it tastes sweet and then it'll kill them. So, yeah, there you go. You've been told. I'm going to use a mixture of 30 SAE small engine oil and grease and a brush. Get up here into the valves and the camshaft. Paint looks great, frankly. Really good. Just amazing, actually. I'm pretty excited. Now, I've turned the engine over a few times already, and we seem to have plenty of compression matching on every single cylinder. So that's a really good start. You do want to soak up this green antifreeze because it will leave a mark. When it dries, it leaves green little circly stainy things, so you don't want that. Okay, so we're going to get our oily, we're going to make up a little pot of mixed grease and oil. Right, little pot, where are you? You were here a minute ago spilling stuff everywhere. Come on, chicken, you'll survive. Chicken is distraught with the impending winter. So grease by itself, I reckon, can get pushed to one side a bit. But if you make this greasy, oily mixture, it's just a little bit more liquidy to sort of flow. Stay in place because it's got grease in it, but flow because it's got oil in it. And that's a really good concoction to put on our camshafts. It's hard to see, but it's up there. So I'm really trying to cover that camshaft as well as I can. Right, now I'm going to do the crankshaft. This is actually not a bad blend to do the crankshaft as well. So I'm going to put the that grease on there, and then I am actually going to squirt some oil on the crankshaft as well. Just looking after those valve stems. So you have to put on too much and then wipe some off. That's just the way it goes. So far I haven't got any coolant leaking out of it. We'll just check some of those cylinder connections. Not seeing any drips. Not seeing any drips. It's a good start. It's not uncommon though. I mean, Jin tests these engines that they run and he tunes them and everything, gets the governor working, but I'm not sure that he is able to fill the thing up and then send it off with coolant leaking everywhere or water leaking everywhere. So if you wanted him to check every single thing, you'd end up with a pretty expensive sort of an engine. You guys are assumed to be of a model engineering bent and capable of, you know, the kind of hobby work that a vintage engine model like this would entail if you're going to buy one, which I heartily recommend. It's ready to start. Now, I've never actually changed the ignition point on this, but you know me, I like a slow running engine, and I believe these small engines don't need much, if any, advance. The way you advance the ignition on one of these is you take the top off this little plastic housing and you push this hall sensor up. And that means that the magnet reaches the hall sensor a little bit earlier. You advance the ignition. May not need doing. I mean, probably doesn't. I don't know anyone who's done it, but that's the kind of thing I do. Let's try it without doing that. But I want to make sure that's up as far as it does go. Yep, it is. Well, let's put some petrol in it and see if she runs. Right, let's try this thing. Oh, it's exciting. The first start of a new engine, even if it's a new vintage engine, it's just so exciting. You know me, I just get overexcited. Batteries. So I'm going to test the ignition and all the spark plugs by seeing if this is actually going to run. Because it's easier than taking everything apart and putting everything back together. First of all, we're going to rotate this a bit and just get some fuel and stuff in there. Throttle cracked open a bit. Actually, what the hell, we'll just go straight into it. First start. Rich. Governor's working. Yep, needs it. I think it's running too rich. I can smell petrol. It's not running on all cylinders. That will improve. Let's just check all those are up there. Double check our compressions. 1, 3, and I'm getting, yeah, I can feel it firing when I do that, but it's firing before top dead center. Smoking like a bastard. Smoking like a bastard. Okay, too much, obviously. So our cooling's working, which is great. Well, I am getting bubbles out of that. I'll just try that again. Why are we getting bubbles? Not getting any leaks, are we? Might try squirting a bit more coolant in there. Coolant working great. Leaking, none. Cylinders all are firing, not entirely even, but that's completely normal. We haven't yet got it pinned down in the carburetor. That's the first full tank through. That is one greedy engine. I mean, probably running it extra rich at the moment. I need to adjust this carb so it closes a bit further. Look at that. A little bit too much openy stuff there, so we'll see if we can do that somehow. How? See if this thing makes any difference. Comparison time. So here they are, the painted and the unpainted. What do you think?